Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to the Tuesday Tussle for this Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. This is a special edition of the Tuesday Tussle. I'm hoping that I can get some participation out here as this is fight week, and we're looking to have a discussion and breakdown on what's on the horizon coming up this Saturday, the 13th, where Canelo Alvarez is going to defend his undisputed super middleweight title against former two-time two-division undisputed champion Terrence Bud Crawford. There's been a lot of discussion about this fight. There's a lot of heat on sentiment, people thinking one way or another, but there's not a lot of people saying it with their chest out, so to speak. But it's just like a little bit of a somewhat gun-shy timidity, people apprehensive. You know, you're supposed to be able to put your stake in the earth and live with it. You know what I mean? I mean, victory is a part of life just as defeat. And see, that's one of the reasons that we tune in to something like this event that's taking place this coming weekend on Netflix. But I like to encourage people to study up and be more aware outside of what's just right in front of your face, what's readily apparent. You see, because as my brother, the dearly departed Curtis Anderson, aka Kurt Sugar, used to like to point out, intangibles, the unforeseen, unexpected, huh? Not anticipated, can show itself. And a lot of times that be the deciding factor in what we find as we have these big events. And this is a big event because it's two of boxing's top fighters coming together, albeit from different weight classes, with Bud moving up from junior middleweight to super middleweight. And the story goes that prior to that, he had been at welterweight and had become undisputed at welterweight after becoming undisputed at junior welterweight. So we're seeing history take place. We're seeing their story take place, and one man will prevail and go forward into legend, huh? That's something nice, huh? That's something to shoot for. And I bet both men want to grasp that with both hands. So welcome everybody out there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Smash the like button as you come into the building, and hopefully we can get this conversation underway. We're going to do a quick roll call and see who I got in the building out here. Let's see. Some of you have begun to start to write in the chat already. We got Chilltown Majors out there saying, Stormy, salute. Universal Truth is out there saying, salute, Sensei. Eric Jordan is out there saying, salute, Sensei as well. And Coach Hudson in the building saying, peace and salute to the Sensei. I'm saying it loud, and I'm black and I'm proud. But Bud, let's go. Yes, sir. That's what it is. That's what it is, man. And listen, we teach by example around these parts, Coach Hudson, and I know you do as well. So, allow me to be the first to send this opportunity for you to come on board. I put that link in the chat for you, Coach Hudson, and any of my other comrades that are content creators, so we could have a conversation, man. That's what this episode of the Tuesday Tussle is about. I don't do this very often, but I'm doing my part to help promote this event because it's important. It's very important to do that, to be able to assist in promoting the event. If you profess to love the sport, as some say they do, doing your part is very important. Very important. Let's see here. Derek Gaines, what's good with you? Adrian Viet, what's happening? Derek Gaines, I hope you feel better, brother. Hope you feel better. Get you some of that oregano oil. They come in tablet form. If you could take the oil by droplets, that's even better for you. A couple of drops and 8 ounces of water, you drink that down, and I guarantee something will move, out of your system. Yes, sir. So it's one of those things that, you pay attention. Always pay attention when somebody is looking to offer you a way, huh? A way around the difficult, because we find ourselves with that from time to time. And so that way you can understand that, hey, maybe this is a good thing for me. So as I get ready to go forward with this, just putting together a couple things here for the scenery. I want to welcome my brother, Coach Hudson, in the building. What's happening with you, brother? How you doing this evening?
Oh, salute to the sensei, the teacher, the master teacher. I'm feeling good. It is fight week. You know I'm fired up every day. So, hey, I'm feeling good. How about yourself, brother?
Oh, man, I'm doing just fine, brother. Doing just fine. Thought I would come on this evening and not just do my regular fare, but try to do my part in helping to promote this tremendous event that we got on the horizon coming up this Saturday, man.
Most definitely.
And this is not me promoting conflict. This is me promoting the sport of boxing and also allowing the opportunity for knowledge of boxing, both future, present, and past. You see, because we have to be responsible as content creators, though many of us are not, when you come out there, because, hey, everyone has an opinion, right?
Right.
That's as common as your nose or that other thing that smells bad under your nose, huh? Yeah! So when we say these things, you have to know that opinion, that's okay. But let's bring some intelligence to it. Let's bring some knowledge of the sport. Let's bring a little bit of understanding what it means when you bring two of the higher prioritized fighters in the sport together. Because not only does the ability come to the forefront, but ego, will, desire, pride, a number of other factors. And as I spoke earlier about the intangibles, that becomes a part of it, even more so than what is expected. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for those who are even casual boxing fans to learn something. Just like the brother Drew Titan was trying to give the comparison if Ray Robinson fought Floyd Patterson. And it was really a chance for people to learn what the brother Drew was trying to teach. But sometimes, and a lot of times, people get so caught up with who they want to win, they don't hear or try to even soak up the knowledge that is being taught. And what he was trying to explain to people was, if you remove your personal feelings from who you want to win, and you look at the history of boxing, or you take a fighter that, like Mind of Mansa Musa was saying, he said, you know what? Ray Robinson would probably give Floyd Patterson a run for his money. And Drew was like, see, that's what I mean. When you have a superior little guy, sometimes you can see him. If you take your personal feelings out of it, you can see a smaller, better fighter beating a bigger one. The day before, when I tried to say, hey, listen, if you all go back and watch Ward versus Kovalev, and you put those two fights together, I think the fight that we're about to see is going to look a lot like that one, with an aggressive attack, with the little man getting in the chest of the bigger man and taking it to the body. But when we start breaking down the science of these things, sometimes people can't really hear because they're stuck on, I want Bud to lose, or I want Canelo to lose. It's okay for me to say I'm rooting for the brother because I'm a brother, but behind that, I have scientific strategies that I see, okay, well, this is what could happen if Canelo does this game plan. This is what could happen if Crawford does this game plan. But to your point, Sensei, you are right and exact. This right here, we have a responsibility as content creators, as real supporters of the sport, to teach all week, every day, into the fight and after the fight. Because whatever happens, people are going to be in awe and be asking questions. Why did that happen? And this is our chance to take over the sport back instead of these exhibitions.
Yeah, check it out. Giving an example of what you're saying to that notion. Yesterday, during Drew's show in the morning, there was a cat that came into his chat and was like, well, if Bud loses, are you going to close your channel?
Oh.
Now, I took particular note of that and was like, you know what, come on. It's like, see, that's someone that just wants to shut you up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They may not even know how many fights Canelo has had. They may not know, who are the top 5 fighters that he's faced in his career. They just know that he is possibly like the same ethnicity as himself,
mm-hmm.
same background or whatever. And that's where they find their kinship. But that's okay, because you should support your family in that regard. But what you shouldn't do is spew ignorance.
Facts.
And that's where I come about when I shoot that kind of foolishness down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shower, hold 1 second. Shower, I see you out there. Salute to you, Queen. If you would like to join us this evening, go ahead. I pinned that link. So if you'd like to talk a little bit about the fight this evening, no pressure, but just, if you feel up to it, because I've opened that up for discussion for this evening. But yeah, listen, bro. This is why, again, I say lead by example. You know what I mean? To be able to have a speak about, and it's not just this fight, but whenever we have fights that are on this type of level and par, that's when you're supposed to. Do you remember? And I know you're younger than I am, but there was a time when there was a big fight, right? You would see the people come out dressed up.
Yeah.
The men would wear their best suits or whatever. Even the color analysts sitting ringside, they would wear tuxes.
Yeah.
And because you know why? This was elite time. This was, going to the Oscars, being near the red carpet, right? When the best in the world were meeting up. Do you notice they don't even do that anymore?
Nope.
And you see, this is why this show, the Tuesday Tussle, my show is always about boxing and life and the marriage between the two, because everyday life is a battle. Sometimes you take some shots, but you never give up. You persevere. You come back the next day, and the next day could be a better day. The next day, according to what you put into it, the effort that you bring, the mindset that you bring, the spirit behind what you do, what you bring, makes the difference. Isn't that a lot like boxing?
Yep.
So you see, that's what I'm saying. My title, the Tuesday Tussle, is not a casual fly-by-night title that I just threw out there and I thought I'll make this the title of my show. No, I made it that way because I can speak to the clouds, to the heavens, why that was chosen and what the purpose of it is. And so even thereby having a discussion about this fight this evening on this show, this platform, is once again me putting it on display. And guess what? Opening it up to comrades like yourself, so your voice can be heard too, so we can have that discussion, so we can put it out there into the universe, so that people who are elevated, we can't worry about the sewage. No one ever does. You only want to make sure that the plumbing is working when you flush. Huh?
Yeah. No, that's real right there. No, that's real right there. I was just thinking, I remember being a kid watching HBO and seeing the commentators in their tuxedos. Not just that, I remember when Roy Jones would fight, anytime he would fight, my uncle would have the biggest fight parties. It was like It was an event. It was like Christmas. It was like Thanksgiving. It was a holiday when certain fighters fought. And we haven't had that in a long time. Now, we talked about this, I think, on 78's channel. And I talked about how Tank had really dropped the ball, because when Tank fought in Atlanta, Stormy, I kid you not, it looked like that scene in American Gangster when Frank Lucas was going to the fight and he had that big fur on and all the black folks was, they was dressed down. That is what it looked like in Atlanta. I've never seen us get like that for a combat event in Atlanta. I'm talking about everybody dressed down. Floyd Mayweather comes out, he has a diamond jacket on, and the crowd goes crazy. I'm talking about it was the pinnacle of black excellence in boxing all throughout there. Clarissa Shields was there. Regis came out and did his thing. Bodu Jack put on a great performance. It was just a whole night of great boxing. And I sat back and realized, I said, wait a second. They have tricked a lot of the casual boxing fans to think that black boxing fans won't come out and support good fights. And that's a lie. I'm seeing it right here. Mm-hmm. The event has sold out. Every fight ended in a TKO, but they didn't, the next day or the next week, it wasn't on ESPN. It wasn't on any of the mainstream networks really talking about it. They briefly talked about Tank winning, but they didn't talk about the event. And that's when I started realizing that there is almost a mission for us to never have that time again, like you described, Sensei, when it was a huge show for an elite boxing match to go on. Everybody gets dressed down because this is the Oscars of our sport. This is our greatest going against the greatest in our field. And they no longer want that. See, they want to be able to control these exhibition clown shows. But right now, this is what everyone needs to understand. Like you said, that guy that came into the chat who said, Drew, if Canelo wins, I want you to get rid of your channel. Now, people, they need to think about the psychology of someone like that who's supposed to be a boxing fan. Why would they want our brother Drew to close his whole channel down if Canelo wins? Why do they want me to shut up? Why don't they want to hear Stormy B Man giving the science and knowledge behind the truth of the sport? I'm going to tell you why. This is bigger than just Canelo versus Crawford. Right now, what's about to happen this week and over the next few months with these big fights that we should be supporting, it is a battle for the integrity of the sport. And if people are going to keep putting their money into real boxing, or if they are going to go the other route with these exhibition clown shows. And if people do not take a step back and say, let me see what the lovers of the sport who know what they're talking about, this is what I mean. Stormy B Man, the sensei can give you all in the chat a scenario where Canelo can win. And I can give you a scenario where Bud can win. And it can go vice versa. But regardless, what you're going to see is knowledge going back and forth. It's not going to be just, well, I just think he's just going to win just because. That's not what we're doing. But you have a lot of casual fans who are showing up in all of these boxing content creator spaces, being agents of chaos, saying, well, are y'all going to quit? Are y'all going to quit? Where did we last time hear that? Some of you all need to think about, didn't they tell us that when Wilder lost? Didn't they come back and say, oh man, y'all need to shut up now. Your boy done lost. Wait a minute, I thought we're all boxing fans. So that has to tell you all who can critically think, and I'm going to land my plane here. For those of you who can critically think, that has to tell you that these people who are calling themselves boxing fans, they not with us.
No.
They not with us. Go ahead, Sensei.
No, they're not with us. And they work actually along the lines of seeing the pitfalls or the setbacks for a class of people. And that class of people in this instance of what we're talking about is us. Now, boxing has always had something to do with race. It always has. Because even when the sport was formed, okay, you had the Irish and the Italians fighting. You had, guys that were from Europe, and different. I don't care if a person was Turkish or if a person was from some other place around the world that we may not as necessarily be as familiar with. It always has something to do with that. However, even through all of that division and diversity, it wasn't until we got involved in the sport that they recognized that they could come together for one thing, and that was to be against us.
They're not
You
hearing
know
you.
what I'm saying? So it's like when someone says to us, "Oh, you guys are race baiting." Really? Let me flip that around to you and show you what history tells us. And
Teach.
history being his story of how he managed and controlled things throughout the generations. Boxing, the sport, is over 200 years old. And with organized, the Marcus of Queensberry rules, okay, that's one thing. But the Bible talks about boxing.
Come on.
Okay.
Teach and say,
So we're going back over 1,000 years
get biblical on.
that men have performed behind their fists. Okay? So please do not come and use ignorance here, because it won't fly.
Come on.
It can't even stick to the walls, because guess what? These walls don't separate, huh? There's air and space between here. You ever heard the term space and opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
That's no walls. That's no division and separation. You can get it just like he can get it, and he can get it just like he can get it. Because the one thing you can't cover up is the truth.
That's
So
real.
ignorance has no place here. None whatsoever. It can vanish like a whiff of smoke. You see, especially when you're speaking on the real thing, the factual thing, the actual thing. That's why, for one reason, I don't do this a great deal, but at the same time, at all times, I'm prepared. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean I've got to have cliff notes sitting by or anything like that. No, it's because I've done the work. I've studied, I've watched, I've witnessed, and I've been able to bring something from then to now and present, and hope that someone is intelligent enough to grab that baton and take it. That I won't always be here, but at least someone will say, you know what? I can get with what Stormy is saying. Let me take that, because these men that are fighting today, they represent some of what the best of the sport has to offer, but to two different degrees. I'm going to give you a breakdown on that of what I mean. What style of boxing would you say that Canelo Alvarez brings to this fight?
I say he's a boxer puncher.
Right. And what style does Bud bring?
Slick, boxer, puncher. He has a lot more in his toolbox than Canelo.
Okay, I'll stop you right there. And I'm glad you ended it with that last remark. And I'll tell you why. On this channel, on this show, I call it my coach's show, because I do a lot of subjects under what fighters do in the gym, the ring, the preps for fights, the X's and O's and all of that. That's what the Tuesday Tussle really is. I did a show called The 5-Dimensional Fighter. I gave a full breakdown. It's in my archives. Anybody want to go and check it out? It's there. I don't care if you're a trainer or a coach, or if you're a fighter or an aspiring fighter. well worth the value because it was borrowed from our brother, the former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis, where he spoke about being a five-dimensional fighter. And, you know, Lennox retired, it's been 20 years now. It's like he's been gone away from the ring a long time.
Right.
But the whole point of what I'm getting at with mentioning him talking about being a five-dimensional fighter is that a fighter who has all of the tools to be successful and all of the tools to be able or remain in a competitive circumstance of being able to solve and resolve issues presented to him in a fight. You know what I mean? And that tool bag in his five dimensions, it allows him to be up here where he's superior to his colleagues and his opposition and everything, because they just couldn't overcome him, right? But that doesn't just mean in that battle or whatever, but it means the multi-dimensions that he brings in a fight. Now, there are other fighters who might be four-dimensional, three-dimensional, two-dimensional, and a single dimension. Now, you take a fighter like Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz is a one-dimensional fighter.
Yeah.
He may take that as an insult, but he's never done anything in the ring to show otherwise. Never. Now, Canelo, sad to say, people out there, but Canelo is a three-dimensional fighter. Now, the thing about his three dimensions is they're strong. They're strong in each compartment. But however, each compartment has enough of a weakness that someone who is also a three-dimensional fighter can either compete and be on par with him or even defeat him. Someone who is of 4 to 5 dimensions, it's no contest. Now, the first 5-dimensional fighter that he ran across was Floyd Mayweather Jr.
I like that. Yep.
And he was in his early 20s when he faced Floyd, and Floyd was 37 years old, on his way away from the game. If you can recall how that fight went, and even how people who wanted Canelo to be victorious, but he couldn't. And some people even remarked and made the excuse that, okay, he wasn't that good, you know, or he wasn't that experienced enough. Well, didn't he have almost like 30-something fights?
Like 37 fights, undefeated.
Yeah. So it's like, what are you talking about? You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, it's a cop out.
He has never been a good to great boxer. Never. But he could fight, and he was very adept at throwing certain shots as part of his arsenal. He has good feints, and I'll give him what some people have given him as well. His upper body movement, as far as being able to rotate and move out of the way of shots in order to be in position to counter you, because that's the counter punch in him. So when you talk about him being able to punch and his punch placement, that's one compartment where he excels. The defensive thing that I just spoke about, that's a second dimension where he excels. The third is a combination of he having determination and will, because you need that to go along with your ability. But the intangible has been the assistance that he's got from judges. How many fights has he had where the decision and outcome is questionable?
Shoot, about 4.
There you go. When you're a 5-dimensional fighter, you win.
Yeah.
You win. It's not controversial. You win. Now, do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you got me thinking now.
Who have you heard break it down like what I'm telling you right now?
Nobody
No,
on YouTube.
no one that's a 5-dimensional fighter has to rely upon the judges. Floyd didn't have to rely upon the judges. And even one of them tried to taint him by giving Canelo a draw against him. If all things be fair, Canelo should have several losses on his record.
That's true.
Not just the 2 between Floyd and Bivol.
That's true.
And the only reason that he didn't want to fight Benavidez, and I ain't afraid or ashamed to say it on this air because it's a fact. The only reason that he doesn't want to fight Benavidez because he knows that that's the one guy that could possibly embarrass him by stopping him.
Yeah. Boy, Benavidez.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yep, stopping him.
That could embarrass him by stopping him. Because he is a mountain that Canelo can't climb. It's as plain as that. It's
So
as plain as when Floyd Patterson entered the ring foolishly twice against Sonny Liston.
Okay.
That was a mountain that he could not climb. Oh, he had heart for getting in there. The heart went away after the first fight when he left the stadium and arena with a disguise on his face from his embarrassment.
That did happen, yeah.
So you know a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
If you're of a certain age or have had that information passed down to you. But Floyd Patterson actually left the arena after Sonny Liston knocked him out in a disguise. He might as well have had on one of those fake nose with the eyeglasses and mud.
Yeah. He didn't take L's well. But you know what, Sensei? You giving a lot of knowledge. So it's a few questions I want to ask you because I know some people going to watch this and they're going to be asking these questions because you're giving so much. So I want to go back. I want to go back to when you talked about the inception of boxing in America.
Yes.
And before America. You were talking about the Irish and the Italians. Now, for those who don't know, back then, the Italians called the Irish the N-word. So for those of you who always say that we're the ones bringing up race and we're the ones, no, this is what the sport was built on. They were doing it to each other before we even got in the game. Now that's the first thing, because I know somebody gonna go back to that and be like, well, wait a minute, what do you mean the Italians and the Irish? That's the point that Stormy B-Man was making. Now, Sensei, let me ask you this, because when you go over the dimensions, people are saying, okay, I'm hearing what the Sensei is saying. He's saying Canelo's a 3-dimensional fighter. Now, we acknowledge that Floyd Mayweather is a 5-dimensional fighter that beat Canelo. Now, let me ask you this, Sensei. Let's say Crawford is a strong 4. Is that strong 4 enough to beat that 3?
Not only is it strong enough to beat that 3, but what pushes Crawford between 4 and 5 is the fact that he could switch. The fact that he can fight equally from both sides. Even though there are people that feels like, well, I feel he fights better as a southpaw, so you might as well claim him to be a southpaw. No. And I'll tell you how I can get down to the nitty and gritty about that. Do you know the story of why Bud fights southpaw at all?
I don't remember. I know he just did an interview talking about it. I don't remember.
When he was a younger fighter, earlier in his career, he hurt his right hand.
Okay, that's
and so he started to train and fight using his left, and he developed his left almost as good, if not better, than the right. But he's still a right-handed fighter. That's
Yep.
his power hand, his strong hand. But check this out. You have to acknowledge, and I'm going to get deep here with this. I know you'll pick up on it, but for some of the people that's in the audience and listening and catch the replay, they may not understand this. For him to do what he did, you know what type of mentality he has to have? That's an elevation within itself.
Yep.
In other words, he didn't wait till his right got healed and better. He improvised and became adept equally. So by doing that, it's like a ball player. J-Man just wrote in the chat, Mamba mentality. We know that Kobe had that nickname, the Black Mamba. Okay, Kobe would shoot with his left, shoot with his right. He became ambidextrous when it came to that, because guess what? They'll try to make you go to your left or make you go to your right, whichever they figure is your strong hand, and push you the other way to make you less effective.
Right.
But if you work on your effectability to be ambidextrous, then you're a double threat, aren't you?
Yeah, that's a fact.
It takes a certain mentality to do that. So now, do you see what I'm saying about Bud and his mentality, and the fact that he could switch, and what makes him a possible a 4 but a possible 5 because of that?
Most definitely.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's like to be able to, you know what? Christian and Billy fought Sergey Devenchenko, who hurt his arm, I think his bicep tore during the fight. So Sergey was basically fighting Billy with one arm, and Billy couldn't get the ups on him. Devenchenko was still competitive. He lost the decision, but he was still in the fight with one arm.
Yep.
Do you know what that says about Billy?
Hard, psychologically strong.
What I'm saying about Billy, that means that there's something missing there, that you couldn't even take advantage of that man. That means that you're not necessarily on his level when it comes down to those dimensions, because Devenchenko obviously has trained throughout all those amateur fights in his career how to box with one arm. You got trainers that will make you spar with one hand.
Yep. Come on, teach, Sensei.
And you just box the whole whatever day of sparring. I only want you to use this hand. They'll tie that right hand down to your shoulder. You take the hand wraps, and you ever done that in the gym?
Mm-hmm.
You take the fighter, he keeps that hand near his chin, and you wrap them wraps, because them long hand wraps, you can tie it around so that hand is right there, and that left just got to be working. Or switch it to the right where he's southpaw. Same thing.
Yep. Or you put that tennis ball on them.
You will find out that when you get adjusted to the rhythm of what's uncomfortable and make it comfortable, then you are never facing adversity. Yeah.
That's a fact.
You know why? Because whatever happens is part of the game. A swollen eye is part of the game. A cut is part of the game. A broken nose is part of the game. A broken jaw is part of the game. A broken hand is part of the game.
Part of the game.
You see what I'm saying?
Facts, Sensei. You teaching.
So why are you not being prepared in the gym for these things? There are simulations that can take place. There are instructions that can take place. There are certain mental restrictions that can be put to test and practice so that your guy that you put out there is good. It's the difference between a 3 to 4 and 5 dimension fighter.
That's good teaching right there.
When Canelo lost to Bivol, which he had a rematch clause too, by the way. When he lost to Bivol, he went and got drunk.
Sure did.
He went and got drunk. You know what that told me? He was having a pity party. Because he is so accustomed to that third compartmentalization that I mentioned earlier, the judges helping him out, that the one time that they didn't, I gotta go have a drink. You know? It's them, it's not me.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? The real fighters, you know what they do?
Get back in the gym.
Get back in the gym and say, you know what? Let's run this back in 6 months.
Where I messed up at.
What did Canelo do? He waited until the date that the contract for rematch expires. Then he went and sought out Triple G for a third fight nobody asked for. You know I'm not lying.
You ain't lying, Sensei. You ain't lying.
And see, this is the difference between being able to define something about a fighter. So guess what that happens to be, which also prevents him from being more than a three-dimensional fighter? It's called character flaw.
It's there. It is there. It is there. But Sensei, I got to get off. Sensei, I got to get off. But I appreciate you letting me on and cook with you.
Hey man, I appreciate you joining me, brother. You're always welcome here, man. You're always welcome here.
Appreciate that, brother. Salute to you. Keep cooking.
Do me a favor before you pop off in the private chat. Put your email in the private chat for me.
I got you.
So I can take it down, and then I'll be able to contact you, by email. Okay.
Got you. I'm putting it in there now.
All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Have
Peace, brother.
Evening. Peace to you. Yeah, a character flaw. That's what that is, people. And character flaws can restrict a fighter. And it could show up at the most inopportune time. It could show up in a time of stress or distress. It could show up in a time of challenge. It could show up in a time of peril, frustration. See, and those are those type of intangibles when it comes down to picking a winner in a highly competitive match. Those are the things that are incalculable, and you don't know until it shows itself. I speak about these things all the time, but very few people acknowledge them. Very few people want to share and understand what that means. But I talk about it. And when I talk about it to the core of where it really has merit. These are not just someone's words blowing into the wind. You can put it to test and task. And there are coaches and trainers out there who are way beyond me in years. They would certify and affirm what I'm telling you. Salute to my brother Drew Titan, who just popped into the building. What's going on with you, man? How you feel?
I made it. Made it.
Yes, sir. You're a little bit low, brother. Can you
Let me see.
raise your volume up a little bit?
Something. Hold on. Let's see. Microphone. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, Coach Hudson just popped off. He joined me for a moment, and we had a very good cook. I don't know how much of it you heard between us, but yeah, we were just talking about these two gentlemen coming up this Saturday in the fight, and I was giving him a little bit of the assessment of what I meant when I did my breakdown of what a five-dimensional fighter is.
Yeah, you and I, we've had that conversation
Yeah.
a lot about being a five-dimensional fighter, man. And you know, this is why, you know, we've been cooking on this all week, and,
Right.
cooking on it in the morning. But there are reasons why I'm picking Bud to win this fight. And I know there's things going on in the text about something going on with Bud's shoulder. I think that's cap. I'm not even worried about that.
Well, did you see what message I put in there?
No, I didn't. I was actually in the elevator.
Please take a quick read of it in the group chat. Take a quick look at it. It won't take you long. But I put that in there because I want people to understand that there's reasons why stuff like that gets released out and everything.
Yeah, I agree. I'm reading it right now.
Yeah.
And let me incidentally want to talk about that. Usually leading up to a Canelo fight week, his fan base is loud and proud. And I have no problem with them being loud and proud. Back your man. But it seems that we're more excited about this fight because we're looking at, finally Canelo is going to be in the ring with someone where not only do I think Bud's going to win, but his fan base, they see what we see. They're just not loud about it. They don't want to challenge us on it. Now, I've had links in my chat since last week. I haven't had one troll pop up with the Viva Mexico, or even if they come in peace and they say, look, man, I think Canelo's going to win, because all I'm going to do is politely ask them to break it down. I've done it before. No need to argue and be nasty about it. But isn't it strange? Even the other channels that we frequent, like the Brother Champ side, today he was saying, where the Mexican flags at? Leading up to a Canelo fight week, it's unusually quiet. This is a little strange to me from that fan base. Now, being said, they feel what we feel, which is why they're quiet. Now, in the event that Bud loses, I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, well, where the hell were you guys when this fight was signed? Y'all were awfully quiet. So we already know what that'll be like. But they're nervous. They're nervous for their guy. But here's what I'm gonna say. That's a healthy feeling to have. That's what you want from your fighter. You want him to travel into that unknown. Yeah, I support my guy, but damn, I don't know about this one. But that's what makes the fight exciting. That's what makes boxing exciting. When you can back your favorite fighter and say, man, this is gonna be a test. And that's what makes you love the sport. You understand what I'm talking about? All of these things that people are talking about, like the size difference, man, I don't know what else to say, man. In my opinion, it's been debunked. It's been debunked. And these guys really, they're looking at it from what I like to call a video game standpoint.
Right. Absolutely. You could not have said it more accurately, because these are human beings and it's not a video game. And as I was just saying before you popped on, we were talking about Canelo and his fight against Bivol, and the fact that he didn't accept the rematch with Bivol. And I said there's something terribly wrong with that. Even though he had a rematch clause, I said instead of looking to correct the wrongs and let me step back in there and get it on with Bivol, he went and got drunk after the fight.
Sure did.
And let the contract for a rematch expire.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's the thing. It says a lot about, I said it's about a character flaw. because I spoke of Canelo being a three-dimensional fighter, and that his three dimensions, I also gave the example of Pitbull Cruz is a one-dimensional fighter.
Right.
So Canelo being a three-dimensional fighter, and his three dimensions are compartmentalized in he being a good puncher, good punching accuracy, punch placement, then also his ability to be elusive from punches, not really get hit clean on the chin and everything, but he's able to be elusive and counter very well. But that third compartment consists of not only some of his talent and ability, but the reliance on the judges assisting him.
Right.
That's a huge part, believe it or not, too.
Very huge.
Because he has won fights that he should have lost decisions, and he haven't rematched guys in those close fights where the challenge is maybe he's not as good as that guy. So when you take that, which is what his real foundation is built upon, and you kind of shine the light on that or whatever, he becomes quite ordinary.
Yeah.
And what I said to the chat before you jumped in, and when Coach Hudson was here, I said a 4 to 5 dimensional fighter, they win. They win. There's no question. They didn't need the judges. They win. They find a way.
Yep.
And even if they've taken a loss, they'll come back. Let's do it again.
That's right.
And find a way to prevail the next time.
That's right.
Or if they were victorious in a close one and they came back, they made sure that there was a separation between they and the other person in the second fight.
Right. Right.
How many of the greats have we seen do that? We've seen Floyd do that. Since people want to say Floyd is great, he's a prime example of more recent times. He's a guy who has gone in there and fought people in rematches and totally blown them away in a rematch.
Made them look like they were standing still. Right.
That's a 5-dimensional fighter.
That's right.
I call Floyd a 5-dimensional fighter. And so you see the separation. And I said, when you understand how that works, then you don't have to be nervous about who you roll with if you have knowledge of the sport. And knowledge of the sport isn't knowing records, names, dates. It's knowing fighters, what goes on the inside, what is the foundation that the intestinal fortitude, all of those. That's what makes you know fighters.
That's right.
Their psychology.
That's right.
You see? And as I said to Coach before he got, I said, now who out there is talking boxing like this?
And that I know of.
You got all these sexperts, I call them. You know, I use that term now. They out here because they stroking and sucking, huh? But they are regurgitating waste, garbage.
Let me ask the audience. The fights where, the Grand Arrival is on right now too. That's funny.
Yeah, I got it on my other screen here.
The fights where Canelo looked subpar or lost. I need you guys to ask yourself this: is Bud less special to the guys that made Canelo work hard in a Fugazi win or a loss? Now, you know, Floyd, we put Floyd on a pedestal. Floyd was special. Is he better than Iris Landry Lara? Now, you can say that. But if he's not as good as Floyd, why did Canelo look subpar? And if you guys remember, Oscar De La Hoya, who was still in charge of Canelo at that moment, he did not want Canelo anywhere near Lara. And I'm going to tell you something. If it wasn't for the luck of the Irish blood in his system, he loses that fight. I thought he lost. I watched that fight about 10 times. I said, man, I don't know how. It's nothing but home cooking by way of the referees or the judges, rather. All right. What about Dimitri Bivol? Now you can say that, oh, he's super bigger than him, but that was a styles clash, because you know who else was bigger than him? Sergey Kovalev, whom he had some damage on him already to the fight prior with Anthony Yarde, but he won a lot of rounds until he wasn't. What I want you guys to understand is Canelo is in a position where when he's taking these fights, he's stacking the chips. And this is the first fight that he's had since probably Caleb Plant, where it's pretty much a level playing field, which is why his audience is very quiet, because they see what we see in Bud. They see it. Mm-hmm. They absolutely see it. That's why, listen, think about, as long as y'all been around these internet streets, whenever it's a Canelo fight week, they're in all of our chats. They're everywhere with the Mexican flags. Where's your pride at now? Because they know what's going on. And I'm going to tell you when they really felt it. When the fight got announced, they were like, oh, okay, I got Canelo for the win. When these guys first met face to face and they actually got a look at Bud standing next to Canelo, that's when it settled in. That's when the oh shit syndrome kicked in. Like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on now. Right. He's not the size of Bivol, but wait a minute. And then you go, you Google the actual height. You're like, oh shoot, Bud is taller. And then you look at the reach. You say, wait a minute, Bud got a reach? Now you could say, oh man, you know, Bud's not as fast as Canelo and the head movement, but you've seen Bud work. As a matter of fact, let me give y'all a little gem. They saw what Bud did to Errol, was his number one rival. They rooted for Bud against Errol. Do y'all remember why? A lot of Mexicans rode with Bud during that. Do y'all know why? And I'm not talking about the Mexicans in Texas, because Texas is different. I'm talking about surrounding, the areas surrounding Texas. And I'm talking about different states, people on the outside looking in on Viva Mexico. Because about 3 years prior, maybe 2 years prior to that, Errol and Canelo was mentioned in the same sentence. That fight was almost a reality. In fact, had he had beaten Bud, they'd have been talking about it. So they didn't mind watching Bud whoop up on Errol. It's just that he did it so fairly easily. It was like, oh man, okay. I remember reading in certain spots, now imagine what would Canelo have done to him. I didn't even entertain any of that. Well, now Canelo's in the ring with the man that did that to Errol. And Bud brings so many tools. He brings a bigger tool bag than Errol Spence would have brought. And this is why they're silent. They're rooting for their guy, but they don't feel confident being loud about it because they know what Bud brings. Now, you can say there's a size difference as far as weight, as far as power. But Stormy, you and I spoke about this countless times. There's intangibles that Canelo is going to face on Saturday night that he's never faced before. This isn't Bivol. Bivol just outboxed him. Floyd Mayweather outboxed him. Lara outboxed him. And if Canelo gets frustrated in a spot where he's getting outboxed, like Coach Hudson said, this guy does not make adjustments. He's going to be the one making mistakes. If you think that Bud can't hurt this guy, you're mistaken. And I'm telling you, no matter how you feel about it, all I'm asking you to do is look at the fan base. This is supposed to be a big win for them in their minds. A big win. Bud Crawford, he has a Charlo's head on the plate, and we about to get Bud? Why are they so quiet, y'all? You got to ask yourself that. They know what we know. They're just hoping that there's enough dysfunction within our community that we don't. They're counting on us rooting against Bud. I refuse to do it. I'm not even going to get into that conversation. Let's just watch boxing. Let's do that. And if I'm watching boxing, style for style, I got Bud winning. He's all wrong for Canelo.
Canelo has never done the things to close the gap if he ever happened to face someone with the abilities that Bud brings to the ring. He's never gotten over that hump.
That's right.
In fact, the battles that he would find difficult, he's gone away from. That's why earlier in the show, before you arrived, I spoke about why he wouldn't fight David Benavidez, because David Benavidez is a mountain that he cannot climb. Those were my words. That's a mountain that he cannot climb because he doesn't want to face the embarrassment of someone who can stop him. Think about that for a moment. You're a professional fighter. You're commanding multiple millions of dollars, but you don't want to face a guy because you are concerned about the embarrassment.
Yeah.
Notice I say these words. Didn't I say words are powerful?
Yes.
You don't want to face the embarrassment of a guy who can stop you. See, because if he stops Canelo, which he more than likely would, that's something he can't live down. That's why he didn't go back and face Bivol. Because
right.
2 ass whoopings from Bivol means that, guess what? Possibly I'm a sham.
And everything is aligned, Stormy, because everything's in the right alignment. He watched what happened to Tank Davis. And although he didn't get stopped, he knows how Tank is feeling on the inside. He don't want to deal with that, which is why he don't want to run it back. And let me ask the audience this.
But no, hold on. Mm-hmm. Let's leave Tank out of this. Mm-hmm. He's further along in his career than Tank. He's been avoiding Bivol for over 5, almost 6 years. Mm-hmm. So this is Tank losing to Roach. That wasn't even a thing.
In his mind, he's just as far along as Canelo. That's what I mean. In his mind.
No, what I'm saying about Canelo is, remember, I said that there are guys, he didn't want to run it back against Lara. That was a close fight. Why not? Floyd ran it back. When he had close fights, he ran it back.
Immediately.
Canelo hasn't run it back with anybody except for Triple G. And the only reason that he did that with Triple G is because that's when he believed in the judges.
Yep.
You know, when we say, which is not a good thing to say, but it's been said, that against Canelo, you know, you're already down 3 to 4 rounds when the fight starts.
Yeah, yeah.
There should never, ever be a fighter in the world that you speak of that like that.
Mm-hmm.
That just speaks of the corruption of the sport.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You have to call things for what they truly are.
Yep.
So, he knows that. That's why that's a major part of his 3 dimensions and the 1 compartmentalization where he relies upon that. Without that, he's nothing.
True story.
Ordinary. Ordinary. Guess who wasn't ordinary? Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, Ricardo Lopez. Shall I keep going? These men were beyond ordinary. And guess what they did? They took a loss here and there. But they're greats and have achieved greatness because of the challenges that they accepted as a role in their careers. Sometimes against one another. Several times. How many times did Barrera and Morales fight? How many times did Morales and Marquez fight? You know, when you look at this, dude, it is what it is. And don't forget, I represent Mexico. I don't fight other Mexican fighters. I'm not fighting Mexican fighters. What?
You said it.
The history of the sport has shown us some of the best matches in the sport of boxing have been Mexican fighters facing one another.
That's right.
And that is not a rip at them. That is an adornment. That is an acknowledgement for their place in the history of the sport. And here you happen to be in this modern time, one who is garnering the greatest paydays that any Mexican in history has ever achieved, and you won't share.
That's right.
Man, if you don't get the hell out of here with the foolishness.
And y'all better stop.
I keep saying, if you want to talk boxing, let's talk boxing. We're not talking favoritism. We're not talking about who you like. We're talking about what it is.
And please, y'all, don't talk about how he reneged on his word and fought Jaime Munguia. That was an in-house fight. They all from the same gym, man. He got his boy paid. Legitimately got him paid.
Like Avni Yildirim?
Like Avni Yildirim got him paid. So let's not go there. And I had a question. Name one opponent in his entire career that you can say, okay, he fought this guy, and that guy. So therefore, he's prepared for what Bud is about to bring to the table. Can you name some guys? Because the guys that come to my mind, he either lost or had a hard time and got a gift. And this is why I say Bud is all wrong for this guy. Don't talk to me about, oh, you know, Bud gets hit and then he wants to get the hit back. I don't buy into that. I think Bud is disciplined enough. If he gets hurt or gets popped one good time, he wants to hit back. No, stay disciplined. The only person that beats Bud in this fight is Bud. If he loses discipline, we'll know it. I'll get right on here and say, hey, man, you know, he did this and he did this wrong. And I'm going to tell you something else. He don't even have to fight. You know how they say, oh, man, you have to fight the perfect fight to beat. No. That's not even this, because Canelo's not the perfect fighter. What are y'all talking about?
Not only that, was Lara perfect?
No.
Was Austin Trout perfect?
Man,
was
I don't know.
Danny Jacobs perfect? Was William School, was he perfect?
Nope.
I asked this question that hasn't been answered yet a week ago. I asked the last 5 fighters that Canelo has fought, name the one of those 5. Because, you know, because he only fights twice a year. That goes back a couple of years. It goes back at least 3 years for him.
Right.
Name the one out of those who's better than Terrence Crawford. Time's up. None of them.
None of them. Yeah, none of them.
None of them. Collectively, none of them.
Got a question for you, Sensei. And I ask everybody this. I'm going to ask you. Since Floyd Mayweather, other than payday and getting the refs and the judges in his favor, has Canelo stylistically improved?
No.
There you
He's
go.
actually slowed down.
Yup. Thank you. There you go. Bud for the win. That's what I'm saying. He's the same guy. He's the same guy. He was supposed to pick up everything from Floyd, from that loss. He was supposed to learn from that.
The only thing he learned how to do is be A-side and put contract terms and rehydration clauses and all of those kind of things on fighters, and continue to pull smaller men up to face him, and he pick and choose the larger men that he goes to fight. Guys that are coming off of bad fights or inactivity, or had to be dead at the weight and things of that nature. If anything, he has mastered that aspect of the sport, and he has always controlled the weights, going back to when we had Canelo weight, which was what, 155?
Yeah. This guy's a catch. Man, I can't believe this, man. Yeah, y'all been bamboozled. Now, I'm saying, Canelo's not trash, but I always say this. Why are we acting like we haven't seen this guy? Why are we acting like we haven't seen this kryptonite already? Why? The show that I did this morning, I put up, 4 faces up there, Bud and Canelo included. These guys went up in weight and they were successful, Bud included. When I parked on Hank Armstrong, that man was a 3-division champion, and he was holding belts. He wasn't vacating and moving up and going back down. He was defending all of them things
simultaneously.
Yeah. Now, I know it was a different time and everything else, but the point was he was doing it. He was doing it.
Yeah, you could say it was a different time, but let me tell you something about it being a different time. It meant more. It had more value.
There you go.
Because then you had only 8 weight classes. So when he had multiple world titles, that means that he beat the best man to become the champion.
He sure did.
In what division, at what point, whenever Canelo has held a piece or shred of title, has he beat the best man in the division?
You hear that question, y'all? All you got to do is go through his resume. And I can still critique it, and he's still a Hall of Fame fighter by today's standards, because apparently it's so watered down it doesn't take much. Because the people out here really trying to get busy and get some work done, y'all look past them. And y'all just so used to celebrating this mediocre nonsense. Look at the record. There was catch weights. He's fighting people at extreme disadvantages. That Kovalev fight, if he had let Kovalev rest for 2 months extra, you might have gotten a different outcome.
And wasn't Kovalev coming off of that fight with Yard or something?
Yard, yeah, he stopped Yard,
but
Yard almost knocked him out.
Why didn't Canelo try to fight Yard?
He could have fought him later. Yard is another guy. He's all wrong for these guys. These guys are all wrong. And again, this is what I'm trying to let you guys know. He tried to leapfrog light heavy and go up to cruiserweight. In that Badu Jack situation, y'all guys have no idea how how pivotal that point was. He should have gotten laughed out of boxing after that. Because Badu entertained it, but then when he found out he was being asked to fight for his title, but at a catch weight which required him to come down 18 pounds on fight night, he said, no, I'm not doing that. And shout out to Badu Jack for not selling his soul. He said, I'm not doing that. And by the way, I believe that was a WBC strap. All right, now here's my point with that. He said, I'm not doing that. And while you're at it, go fight Benavidez. Now, why I'm putting emphasis on that? Because he still said hell no to Benavidez. But if you're going to go to light heavyweight anyway to fight Bivol, the WBC champion at that time was Artur Beterbiev. Why didn't you go do that? This guy knows what he's doing. This guy knows what he's doing. It's fool's gold. Canelo, he's good, but he's not as great as you guys put out. And I'm going to say this. There were a lot of people picking apart Floyd Mayweather's career choices when he was Money May. And I'm going to say this. Canelo has done worse and gotten away with worse. The only thing is they're mad that Floyd got out of being a pro fighter pretty much unscathed and undefeated. Canelo got some.
Go ahead.
Canelo got a couple of losses, got a couple of draws. He's not unscathed, but he's gotten away with far more. And if you know what you're looking at, when you look at from the Floyd fight and just look at all the fights since then, there's gonna be names there that the untrained eye are not even gonna understand. Okay, this was a catch weight. Oh, this guy only had about like 40 days of rest. I'm talking about Kovalev. This one was a catch weight. This one was a catch weight. You understand? If y'all don't know any better, y'all don't know any better. And we're not talking down Canelo. What you're not going to tell us? That we're lying on him. And this is what I'm saying. His skill set hasn't improved since Floyd, because if it did, he'd have knew how to stop Lara. And you're right, Sensei. He's actually slowed down. He done gone up in weight, down in weight. He's looking like a silverback gorilla versus Kovalev. Then he pops dirty versus in between the Golovkin fights. He gets a suspension. The Avni Yildirim's, he avoids Benavidez. Y'all let him get away with that. Y'all are really not helping him improve. The thing is, he's reached his peak. He's on a decline right now, which I don't understand. Is that he's there for the taking. This is why his fan base are exceptionally silent. He's ready to go. He's ready to go. And I'm not saying necessarily to get knocked out unconscious, which is why he didn't rematch Bivol. He ignored Artur Beterbiev, and he definitely don't want no smoke with David Benavidez or David Morrell or Badu Jack at a natural weight. He knows what'll happen to him. He legacy padded. What y'all don't understand is, he's older, he has busted wheels, and Terrence is all wrong from him. Terrence don't have to be a power puncher, one-hitter quitter guy. Those body shots, in combination with him getting tired by round 6 or 7, do not be surprised if this man quits in the corner. Do not be surprised. And it won't be an upset, because I'm going to get on here and say, I told you so. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's boxing. I could be dead wrong, and I ain't got no problem with it. But I firmly believe what I believe. I firmly believe what I believe. And I land my plane right there.
Yeah. And it's not even about, oh, I told you so. Like I stated earlier in the show when I first started, you have to plant your stake in the earth and be like, I stand on it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. However, if I could be wrong about who wins and loses, but I'm not wrong about the talking points. You see? Because I haven't spoke with pom-poms.
That's right.
I've spoken with facts. And one thing that you can always take to the bank is what I said about character. Character and resolve will always be there to define who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
More than wins and losses, because there's a winner in someone who has lost.
True story. In the words of the late great Roger Mayweather, most people don't know ish about boxing. And I need y'all to understand. I've been watching the landscape, and one of the first thing I noticed was his fan base has been very quiet. And this is a big fight. And they know it. They know it. They'd be silent if it was Benavidez, just like this. But if it was a gimme fight, they'd be loud and proud. They're nervous. The things that we're saying, and I'm talking about, this side of the spectrum. Some of the people saying, Bud's gonna lose because of this and that. You notice that they're not in our chats co-signing that, commenting on the videos. They're not in Blue Bloods chat. They're not in Champ Size chat. not in abundance. Remember the atmosphere leading up to the Caleb Plant fight, all his fights. Why are they quiet now? They're there. Why are they quiet now? Because he's going to have to work for this. And I'll be the first to tell you, if Canelo works for this, and I feel, hey, man, 12 rounds, and he won it, you know, if I feel he won it, I'm like, yeah, he won it, bro. He won it. But Stormy, I'm going to say this. This is a 2-fight deal right here, because Bud's going to win this one. Bud's going to win this one.
Well, Bud wins this one, and it's a 2-fight deal. What's going to be great is the second one, and I'm going to tell you why. That's where you'll get ready to see Bud totally dismantle him. But anyway, you know, first things first. He could begin the dismantleization Saturday. And the bulk of the conversation on this live has been primarily about Canelo, because it's like you have to uncover and expose the realities that are associated with him. The one thing that you can associate with Bud is this: he's been a successful fighter, he's undefeated, and he's proven. Now, when they say, and this has been a sentiment that I've heard a lot, you know, lately in talking points against him. Oh, he didn't look good against Madrimov. What was he supposed to look like against Madrimov? Now, I say that for a reason, Drew. Check this out. When he was at welterweight, he had a string of how many knockouts, including Arrow?
Don't get me lying.
It's like 11 or 12, something like that.
Yeah, he knocked everybody out since Indongo.
So what I'm getting at is this: if he didn't look good against Madrimov, but he took Madrimov's title, the judges said he took Madrimov's title. My eyes saw him take Madrimov's title. What was looking good against Madrimov supposed to mean? Was that supposed to mean he needed to knock Madrimov out too? Because, check this out, if that be the sentiment, that he needed to knock Madrimov out too, does that not go back to what I spoke of before, Drew? And you heard me say it, that the expectation on the black fighter is that you can't just be good enough to win a decision.
That's right.
You got to knock people out. Didn't they do that to Devin when he beat Lomachenko?
Sure did.
He beat the crap out of Lomachenko. But they were saying it was a close fight.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, not to me.
Loma's ribs didn't say it was close.
No, him crying in the damn locker room didn't say that either.
So what I'm getting at, you see what I say when I talk about putting the facts out there? Because was it the people's expectation because they didn't know Madrimov? Oh, he's supposed to knock Madrimov out. Because you didn't know Madrimov, that's your fault. I did a breakdown video on the fight. Had low viewership. But I talked about the man and also the amateur record that he had, including Bud's knowledge of him, because Bud had been over there where he's from. And they were talking about Madrimov, who was still an amateur at the time. He spoke on it. He gave an interview, I forget which one, where he said, yeah, I'm very familiar with that dude, you know? And how about this? Lastly, when they got in the ring to fight, Madrimov fought nothing like he had in his previous 10 fights. He totally changed up his style and everything.
Yep.
Because he respected the fight that Bud was bringing, and he knew that the way that he fought, there's a high probability that he could get into something that he may not be experienced enough in the pros to deal with, and didn't want to get knocked out and stopped himself. So how did Bud not look good against Madrimov? You see, I'm not speaking from a point of, oh, Bud is my guy. You know me better than that.
Right.
But I'm presenting this information out here because there are people who have an axe to grind. Just like Canelo didn't look good against Skull, but he got the victory. Now, I'm of the affirmation that I feel that Skull could have did more to get the victory himself. But that requires some edging on from his coaches and trainers that worked his corner on the night of. You're fighting this man, his reputation, and the fact that he's got a deal lined up for his very next fight. There's some shit that you got to go to work on, brother.
That's right.
Nobody's going to hand you anything. See, those are the kind of things that need to be said. But guess what? These fools out here, the sexperts, and these people who are on this place of adornment and everything, they're not going to say the things that I'm saying because they want to stay in the graces of the red-headed cheetah. Yeah, and that's cheetah as in Cheater, cheater. In case some people say, well, he black, he don't pronunciate the words properly. Whatever. Yeah. The red-headed cheater.
That's what he is. That's
and
exactly
that's
what
another
he
thing
is.
that ain't nobody said nothing about doing throughout this entire promotion. Saving his feelings.
That's right.
He popped dirty. The camp he fights out of had everybody pop dirty. His coach and trainer is questionable. Their ethic is questionable. I don't care if Vada's been testing him for this fight. He did it once. He could have done it more than once. Because all it takes is one time, and then you cheated, huh?
That's right.
Now, where have I lied? Where?
And let's not play semantics. Let's not say, oh, well, it was this much. No. He broke the rules and he got off light, but he broke the rules. Let's not play that game, man. Let's not. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited about this Saturday, man.
I'm excited because it's a fight. I don't necessarily call this one a super fight. If they were the same weight the entire careers, I would say yes. But because it's a man stepping up to a challenge, it's a different type of a fight that you want to see, because you want to see, can he do it? You want to see, is Canelo going to be able to raise the stake of his game and defend what's his and all of that? I kind of liken it, and I pulled this out last week, to when Ray Leonard fought Donnie Lalonde. It's quite similar. The only difference with Leonard and Bud is the fact that, you know, Leonard had these bouts of retirement. Bud hasn't had retirement, but he's had extended periods of inactivity.
Right.
And when you acknowledge the inactivity, there's a high probability that during that time he was building his body. See, that's another thing many people are not thinking about. If he knew that he wanted to go to this weight class to fight this man, the process of putting on the weight had to start early. Not just 6 months ago or whatever. So when people talk about, oh, is he gonna be able to go 12 rounds at the weight and all of that stuff? You're dealing with someone who's been fighting all of his life, making weights, cutting weights, and doing things like he understands the science of this. And it's a man who has shown never in 41 fights fatigue, meaning that his conditioning is on par. So he understands what that means to be in shape, because being in shape means that you can endure more and you can execute more. But also, being in shape is a conditioning of the mind. So if you have a strong mind, and the body be strong too, because the body has no resort but to follow the mind. That's true commandeering right there.
That's right. That's right.
And one more thing, because I said discussion and breakdown, the title of this show. Coaching and training. B&B Gym have shown some shit. They are good. Reynoso has not. Reynoso has had several of his rat think cheats bite the bullet. They don't make adjustments. They don't find ways to overcome and persevere. They rely on judges and Suleiman. Where did I lie?
Ain't that something? Judges, Suleiman, and Peds. But they want to come over, you know, and say that this is some great dude. Judges, Suleiman, Peds. Oh, wait a minute. You want to sprinkle in a little Daniel Kinahan in there? We can. This guy's been spoon-fed, man. Time's up. Time's up. Because the organic outcome is going to be Bud winning, man. I stand on that. I stand on that. This guy's dog years older than Bud with busted wheels. He's all wrong. Bud is all wrong for this guy. Y'all gonna see.
See, there's a reason that Bud has been preserved to be in this position now. Because I don't know how many of you realize that it was actually Errol Spence that was supposed to be getting a fight, possibly at a catch weight, against Canelo several years ago. But what I want to do is take people down memory lane, a slow walk. Whereas when Bud defeated, I'm trying to remember the young man's name, because this is really interesting. When Bud defeated Jeff Horn,
right,
for the WBO welterweight title. Remember, everybody wanted to fight Horn. Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Errol Spence. Everybody wanted him. Keith Thurman. All of them wanted Jeff Horn. Remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
Now, of course, the WBO were Bob orders. Everybody know that Bud had an inside track to the opportunity. But when he won that fight, Horn was 18-0 with one draw at the time. Bud beat the crap out of Jeff Horn.
Beat him silly.
And when he won that fight, he said in the post-fight in the ring interview, they said, what's next? He says, I want to unify. He said, I want all those guys. He was talking about the guys who held the other belts. And I do believe at that time, maybe Thurman had 1 or 2 belts. Sean Porter had 1. Danny Garcia, then Errol. So it's like they, and then the side of the street talk started. Remember?
Yes.
Now, tell you why I'm walking it back to that. If Bud were given an opportunity to fight for those belts with the other men, I told you in a personal conversation, I said the only fighter I thought at the time that could have really given Bud a difficult fight was Thurman because of his style.
Right.
See, Thurman has great feet. He does, especially when he get in trouble with a body shot.
Yeah.
That brother move around that ring like he is John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. You know what I'm saying? But and not to make light of things, but if he had the opportunity to unify at that time, we're talking 2018, 2019, brother.
That's right.
He could have become undisputed sooner. And had he had that opportunity, that means at that age, because remember, there was a time when they were all like 30, 31 years of age. Bud is 36 now, 37. That's how long ago that was.
Long time ago.
What I'm trying to walk you through is, say he gets to be undisputed by the time he fought Kavaliauskas, because he would have fought for the other belts instead of Kavaliauskas, instead of Amir Khan, instead of just Jose Benavidez, because he would have been fighting the other champs. He becomes undisputed before 2020. This is 2025. What would have been the next step? Super welterweight.
Yep. 54.
That's still 5 years ago. If you do the math and you really figure things out, Bud is probably truly a middleweight now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is logic, right? This is not necessarily fact, but what I'm pointing out is because he spent 5 years at the division, bro.
He was hanging around to accomplish some things.
There you go. And they made him wait.
That's right.
He got older because his goals weren't accomplished. And he said he didn't want to fight till he's 40 years old. He said that. But this is what they did to him. Even when he beat Madrimov, he wanted to unify for one of the belts, like against Fundora or whatever, and they stuck Errol in there, who still ain't fought. And Fundora has fought 3 times.
Yep.
So I say all that to say this. If you know about the integrity and fortitude of a fighter who's undefeated and has turned away every challenge that has met him, what type of purpose do you think he got going in against Canelo?
Forget a point to prove, Stormy. He got an axe to grind.
Thank you.
Canelo's in trouble.
I said before, who is talking boxing like this? This is not biased. This is putting it out there to make you think about what you're looking at. Not about these 2 men only, but the overall picture. They made this man wait all this fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody gotta pay.
about to be a whole problem. It's about to be a whole problem. And like I said, when Bud win, it's not an upset, y'all. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear old Canelo old. He aged overnight and he ate some bad meat and Bud's on snack. Don't want to hear it, because you know what I'm going to say, right? Y'all don't like the outcome? That's cool. You know what? Canelo should get him in a rematch, right? Should get him in a rematch. Run it. Let me know how you make out. Run it. That's all I'm saying. And then see what they say. Run it.
Yeah.
Jerks. Well, I gotta get ready to take care of some things before I go lay down, man. Thank you for having me up, good brother. As always.
Thank you for joining, man. Thank you for joining. And I'm getting ready to wrap this up anyway. Any final thoughts that you got, bro, that you want to say before you get out?
I'm excited about this week. I see all the family in the chat, man. Salute to y'all. I see Queen Shower, my brother, the War Report's in the building, Mac in the South Hen Dog. See all y'all in there, man. And again, if you take anything away from what we do here, Condo, Messenger, salute, Joe Townsend, PGH. I see all of y'all. Y'all take anything from this, man. It's what the sensei always says, man. Love the sport, man. Love the sport. It's okay to like one fighter more than the other, but understand what's happening. Just love the sport and you'll have a better time, man. I had a great time in my live stream this morning. We were talking boxing. People were on different pages as far as how they see the outcome of the fight, but I want to hear it all, man. I want to hear it all. I'm not right all the time. I don't know everything, but I love learning. Love the sport. Love this sport, man. And the sport will get better, because when you don't love the sport and you're just a fanatic over one or two guys for whatever reason is, you get Mike Tyson versus Floyd Mayweather, and crap like that is going to be the norm if we don't love the sport. We got to love the sport so that things like that gets laughed at. That's all I got to say, man. Salute to you, brother.
All right, salute to you as well, man. Have a good evening. And
too.
I appreciate you stopping in.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, you guys, this is pretty much going to be it for the evening for me. I'm glad I had Coach Hudson and Drew Titan come in to help carry the conversation forward. That's what I talk about having people on, whether it's to call in or opening up a panel so a discussion can be had. I would appreciate if people would step out on the limb more just to have the conversation. There's no foolishness here with what I do. So at the same time, a serious discussion is what I was looking to have. We had that. And I hope that some who are still content creators can take that energy on into the rest of the week as we lead up to the big build up for this fight, which takes place on Saturday, September 13th on Netflix. So with that being said, we're going to get on up out of here. And I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC. And I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your evening.